A very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you into yet another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7. The dear Goon, as he said, if it's not one thing, it's another.
When it rains, it pours, Ironhead.
The pooch needs today. And fortunately, because, man, we need it, but we don't need it on the Saturday. We are getting some rain here in the Valley of Happiness. But it does look like we're going to have just a fantastic day for tailgating and a fantastic night for the whiteout game on Saturday. Yes, fingers
crossing my
crossed.
fingers. I got a wood
No
countertop
question.
right here. I'm knocking on wood, Ironhead.
I like it. I have a wood table in front of me. I'll knock that as well.
Awesome.
Yes, it is whiteout week. We can officially rev up the hype machine. Game day, of course, will be here for ESPN. It'll be a 7:30 kickoff, and Booch, it's going to be fun. And you know, the truth is, at the end of the day, the concerns, and I think there's some legitimate concerns when you look at the passing game, and Drew Aller in particular, and the way he's looked through the first three games. Again, I think it's concerning. And when you look at this with Oregon offense and what they've been able to do, and I'm not saying that, I mean, it's not like they're looking completely unstoppable, but it does feel like Penn State's got to find a little more rhythm in this game than they found in the first three non-conference games if they are to keep pace with the Ducks. But again, at the end of the day, truthfully, the 4 games for Oregon and the 3 games for Penn State that have been played, both teams did what they needed to do in terms of getting the wins under their belt, and then we're going to find out Saturday night which one of these teams looks more the part of contender here. As we've been talking about, Booch, too, again, in the moment, this is a huge game. And I do think from a perception standpoint, it is very big for Penn State. I think for import for a victory here for Penn State than for Oregon. Oregon's coming across the country. They're the lower-ranked team. They're coming off the year that they thought was going to be their year last year. Maybe it ends up being this year. I mean, certainly they'll be, I think, very likely in the mix. At the end of the day, a loss here is far from devastating for Oregon. And truthfully, in terms of Penn State's chances at the playoffs, obviously if they come back and beat Ohio State and run the table from here on out, that everybody's going to feel good about it. But in the moment, dear Booch, it is hard to envision a scenario where the fan base won't feel like the sky is falling if they lose the whiteout game to a lower ranked, albeit top 5, at least in one of the polls, team on Saturday night. And it is hard to envision, again, certainly possible, but it is hard to envision the scenario where Penn State loses the whiteout game at home to Oregon and then several weeks later go on the road and get the win in Columbus. Again, not saying it's not possible that the scenario plays out that way, but boy, that feels like an unlikely scenario.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I was just having that very conversation this morning at the cheese shop, Ironhead. I was like, I'm not saying it's not do or die. If you lose this game on Saturday night, there's no rule, there's no universal constant that prevents you from winning in Columbus, but that has happened twice since Penn State's joined the Big Ten. In the best of circumstances, it is not a common occurrence. So it's tough to imagine that if your team doesn't have the fortitude to hold serve at home under the lights in front of your most raucous crowd, that they can then go on the road to face a team that I think is probably a little bit better and deeper, more talented than Oregon. And that's no disrespect to Oregon, who I think has a great program. In fact, in looking at them a little bit leading up to this game, Ironhead, it really does just drive home the extent to which, because they're recruiting so well, and obviously they've got a lot of resources at their disposal, they are just restocking with top-level talent. They offload a bunch, whatever, to graduation to the NFL, And they just bring in a whole new crop of speedsters who can damage you in a bunch of different ways.
No, they are rolling very similarly to the way Alabama was rolling when the Crimson Tide were racking up the national titles under Nick Saban. It doesn't matter what they lose from one year to the next because the cupboard is never bare or anywhere close to it in Columbus these days.
Yeah. Now, I will say,
nor is it in UT.
Right. Yeah. Now, I will say they are falling short of where Alabama was and where Georgia's been in the past few years. And Clemson, too, by the way, when they were in the midst of their run, where those teams were dominating everybody in their conference and on the recruiting trail nationwide, when they were at their very best, was on both sides of the line of scrimmage. And Oregon's not quite there. Again, I'm not taking anything away. I know you guys are really hoping that Harmon comes back and is an impact player in the near future for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The combination of size and athleticism, which if you watch the Eagles game on Sunday, you saw on display that Jordan Davis even trimmed down from where he was in college, at the size that man is, to move at that speed, there's a handful of human beings in the country who can do that. And they were all ending up at 2 or 3 programs. Oregon's not quite there yet. You look at their offensive line, they had to replace 3 starters off the group Penn State saw in the Big Ten championship game last year, all transfers. Maybe a couple of NFL prospects in there. Certainly the left tackle who they got from Nevada is considered to be a potential first rounder. But consistently, you are not seeing the type of beef combined, again, with the speed and athletic talent that was making those Bama and Georgia and Clemson teams just unstoppable juggernauts. So that's good news. What's maybe not so great news is I do have to give Dan Lanning in particular and just Oregon as a program in general a lot of credit. I think of all of the teams that have made the transition from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten, I think they are noticeably further along in terms of building rosters that are built for the physical rigors of conference play in the Big Ten versus what you saw in the Pac-12. I think all of them, to varying extents, other than maybe UCLA, are getting there. But Oregon's ready to compete now, where I'm not sure. Even USC, which is looking a lot better this year, they still have to prove it to me, get through an entire conference slate. But Oregon's physical enough to compete with the likes of Penn State and Ohio State as we sit here today.
Yeah, I agree. No question about that. One of those human beings that's big and can move like that, by the way, just might be playing for the Philadelphia Eagles right now with Jordan Davis's pretty remarkable play to end the game on Sunday. That was one of those.
What's wild, Ironhead, it was him and Jalen Carter together who made the block. And that was the interior of that national championship defensive line at Georgia. I mean, just like 2 of the biggest athletic freaks for their position in the entire country. And Georgia had them both on the same team at the same time.
Almost like they deserve to win the national title.
No doubt. I don't think college football is going to see another defense like that. Probably ever again, with the way NIL money has evened things out. That was lightning in a bottle, that Georgia defense.
Yes, it was not a bad unit, I think we could safely say. And I think it will be very difficult anyway to match that, just in terms of the sheer talent top to bottom for exactly the reason you mentioned. A couple of things as we look ahead to the whiteout game, Booch, and I do think early on it's going to be very interesting to me to see, one, how Oregon does handle the noise, handle the crowd, but also can Penn State come out on the offensive side early that keeps the crowd into it. The last thing, if you're James Franklin, Andy Kotelnicki and company, that you want to do is give the fans any reason to get a little antsy over their own team. Now, I think the fans will respond accordingly when the defense is out there. But again, if you get a couple of 3-and-outs, let's just draw up the worst case scenario here for Penn State offensively.
Sure.
You get a couple of 3-and-outs. I don't think it's going to be long. In fact, I think if you have 2 3-and-outs, and again, I'm not predicting this, so don't go overboard here. But I'm saying if they were to come out and have a couple of 3-and-outs, I do think you're going to hear some boo birds very quickly here. And I've already seen. I've seen a couple of fans saying, well, why would you not give Grunkemeyer a shot here based on what we've seen? And it's like, guys, come on. Now, I will say, I did not realize Aller, though, was as low as – I knew it wasn't a great start for him. Booch, how do you play the schedule they've had and not be in the top 100 in QBR? I mean, that is – it's concerning. And again, just to be clear, I am not calling for Grunkemeyer. I think Aller will settle into this thing. God knows. I mean, he has to. He has to come out and have some success early. One way or another, they have to. They being the coaching staff have to figure out a way to get him in some rhythm, get him comfortable and confident early in this game. So that the scenario I was drawing up isn't an issue, and that you come out and you get an early lead and you get everybody feeling good, and you start amping up the pressure on that Oregon side, and you get the fans more and more revved up and into it. I mean, that's what you need to happen here in this whiteout contest on Saturday.
Yeah, I was thinking about this a little bit. What would be best case scenario for Penn State? What would be best case scenario for Oregon? You know, I think that probably the best case scenario for Penn State would be a long, methodical touchdown drive. Because I think our fans are savvy enough to understand that is going to be the best way for Penn State to win this game, which is to establish the run and keep Oregon's offense off the field. I think that Oregon, obviously would love to score on an explosive play, and that would have shock value. But I think it would only be useful to them in the first quarter if they then turn around and stymie Penn State's offense. I think as long as Penn State shows that they could answer an early quick score from Oregon, I don't think that takes the crowd out of it, because I think the source of most anxiety right now is what you just touched on. Quarterback, offense, sustaining drives, concerns about the way they've looked against lesser competition. I don't know that there is nearly as much onus on Oregon's offense as there is on their defense to put this crowd on edge, because I think they do want to do everything they can to minimize the home field advantage for Penn State, if for no other reason than because of what I just talked about, with 3 new offensive linemen all coming in from different schools, still trying to figure out how to play together. They haven't really played in a hostile environment or anything close to it. And the same thing for their young quarterback, Dante Moore. They want to quiet that whiteout crowd. And I think the only way they can do it is not going to be putting points on the board, though of course they'd love to do that. I think it's all about the defense shutting down Penn State's offense.
Yeah, I do think, listen, early on, Moore has been very impressive to me this season, Booch. And I do want to see, though, good. I mean, in this environment, he is very talented, brings a lot to the table, seems to have, again, we'll, I guess, find out more on Saturday night, but to the extent he has been tested this season, I mean, he's looked very poised, very comfortable with running that offense and with, taking what the defense gives him. And I do think one of the keys on that defensive side, Booch, is Penn State. they have got to stay home. And it is the one thing I worry about a little bit when you get that crowd revved up and you get that 3rd and long situation, and you get, man, all right, here I go. I'm going to go flying in, and, the offensive lineman maybe makes it a little easier for you. Oh, yeah, go ahead and come this way. And either with the screen or with more break and contain, you just can see the possibility of some big plays here and there. It's one of those things where I think not necessarily the crowd working against you, but just the adrenaline working against you. And I think that's where you're hoping that the discipline of this defense can come into play here in the experience in spots. And listen, they're going to have some young kids too, including some freshmen that'll be in there on the defensive line. And yeah, the whole thing, watching the football, not moving before the snap of the ball, one, and then two, yeah, man, I see I have an open path to the quarterback, but I know my responsibility here is I need to contain him. So play within the defense, understand the situation and what you need to do, and just stick with your assignment, I guess, is the short of it. And because I do think where more can be really dangerous is if Penn State does have breakdowns, either with communication in the secondary or just with responsibility along the defensive line. I think if Penn State plays disciplined and maintains, again, just doing your job, you don't let more outside, you don't have a breakdown in coverage. Again, he's going to make some plays. That passing attack is good enough that I think you can play very good defense and you're still going to give up some yards and some plays. But you don't want to give up unnecessary yards. You want to make them earn it. And I do think that's the mild concern I have going in is that you get too revved up and you give up a play or two along the way that could be big difference makers in a game that I think is going to be very competitive from start to finish.
If you think about the way the Big Ten championship game went last season too, Ironhead, Penn State got in a deep hole early. And I just wonder, how are people going to respond in the whiteout? Now, again, I'm not predicting this and I'm certainly not wishing for it, but Oregon has that offense with quick strike potential. But we've also seen that, Penn State then has the horses to get back into it. Are you going to be able to maintain people's focus and intensity levels over the course of the game? Because what is hanging over this contest, as you said at the outset of the broadcast, is all the baggage that comes in about big game James and the program losing big games and Drew Aller's performance against top competition. We had a commenter on this week's obligatory pregame show from one of the many Oregon fans on consuming all this stuff. You've never seen anything like this before, Ironhead. The way these Oregon fans, they just glom on to anything and everything. They're all over Tengwall's videos. They're all over obligatory this week. And the one guy commented, I thought you guys would be a little bit more confident in Penn State winning. Well, I said, well, look, number one, caveat, like we've kind of cultivated and probably earned, if I'm being honest, a reputation for being among the more cynical outlets covering the team. But I said, the other thing is, you guys have only had a couple of years of this. If you go a full decade of year after year, like you had the back-to-back losses to Washington in 2023, get your doors blown off by Ohio State in the playoff game. If you just have that over and over and over again, like it's a record stuck on repeat for over a decade, you're going to have the same battle scars. You're going to start carrying the same baggage into games like this that we are. And so but by the grace of God. But that's I think one of the critical subplots on the field and in the stands going into Saturday night.
Yeah, it's to me, it is kind of a fascinating dynamic in that, again, any team, Penn State here with Oregon, any team anywhere, like you can lose a game. The world of college football has changed. And certainly if you are in the Big Ten or the SEC in particular, and you lose a game Any game. You lose, if Penn State had lost to Villanova 2 weeks ago, you're still not out of it because, again, at least theoretically, you could come back and run the table. So I understand that in and of itself, this game does not eliminate Penn State from the playoffs, far from it, all of that. But if Penn State loses this game, and let's add the additional unwanted piece of Drew Aller doesn't play well, and define for yourself what not playing well means, whether it's a couple of interceptions, whether it's a key, missing an open receiver, for a would-be first down on the final drive that ices the game for Oregon, whatever it may be. But he doesn't play well, and Penn State loses this game. Again, I understand, and it will be a true statement that, everything Penn State wanted to achieve at the start of the season is still on the table and there to play for. No question. Could still go on and win the Big Ten championship, could still go on and win the national title. But that road becomes so much harder to me, Booch, not just because of the loss in and of itself, but, and I know this team, and James Franklin, I do think does a very good job of setting aside the outside noise, probably about as well as any program out there. You won't be able to stop that noise from occurring. Now, again, if you go out and it is a capital I, capital F, if you somehow go out and beat Ohio State, all of that noise goes away instantaneously with that victory. But it is going to feel that, this will feel like they have lost a home playoff game. And again, I understand that on the surface that is absurd because it is a September game. It is a regular season game. And again, everything is still out there. The noise is going to be so loud from within the Penn State community. Booch, I don't know if you know this. It hasn't, I don't think it's received a lot of coverage. James Franklin actually has a losing record against top 10 programs. And it's actually a pretty substantial losing program.
Yes.
Has that been mentioned? Other outlets have picked up on that? Okay.
You know what? I saw that online. I wasn't sure about if there was any truth to it, but I've heard those rumors. Yeah.
Yeah, I have looked it up, and it's not good. It's like 4-20 against. Can
I tell you my strategy I laid out on the podcast this week, Ironhead? So we still have this dumb system. I don't know why we're even still doing it. This is kind of one of my pet projects for the year is calling on people to call for the de facto elimination of the AP and the coaches polls. Now, they can still put them out, and they probably will. But I would love if ESPN and the networks would stop using them. Because, listen, there are plenty of other outlets, frankly, that are way more relevant in terms of the conversation around college football than the Associated Press that puts out rankings. And those don't get put next to the team names when they're saying who's playing who. I mean, who pays more attention? Who has a bigger college football audience right now? On3 and Josh Pate or all these outlets in the Associated Press? So I don't see Josh Pate's rankings being used by ABC or NBC or ESPN. So just don't do it. Just say, hey, look, the only rankings that matter are the playoff rankings. So when we get the first playoff rankings, then everybody gets a number next to their name. Until then, it's just Florida State, Penn State, Alabama, Ohio State. That's what you get. But anyway, going back to the fact that we're still publishing these dumb polls and they're still putting the numbers next to the team names. Penn State has number 5 Oregon in the coaches poll and number 6 Oregon in the AP poll. Well, I hear all this talk about how James Franklin can't beat a top 5 team. Okay, great. So going into the game, I am going to position this as Penn State is playing number 6 Oregon. So we don't have to worry about James Franklin can't beat a team in the top 5.
There you go.
Then after Penn State wins on Sunday morning, I'm going to say, oh, look at that. It's a top 5 win for James Franklin because they just beat number 5 Oregon. You down?
I am all in on that.
If we're going to keep having to suffer through these 2 stupid polls continuing to exist, I think we got to take full advantage.
it is fascinating to me that like Illinois is still ranked.
I know.
And
Listen,
maybe by the end of the year, right. I mean, maybe by the end of the year, you're like, all right, yep, that is a top 20 team or whatever. But it is supposed to be a snapshot, right? Like this team lost 63-10 in its first meaningful. I mean, I know Duke.
It wasn't that close.
You know, a relative test, but and they won that game handily. But I mean, this was, and I did not see it coming. I really thought that Indiana-Illinois game, in terms of competitiveness, was going to be similar to what I think we're going to see Saturday night. God willing, we see something at Beaver Stadium similar to what Indiana got to experience in Bloomington last Saturday. But listen, I know Curt Cignetti, a lot of people don't like him, and he runs his mouth. My God, does that guy back it up? Like, are you kidding me? I mean, the one thing Illinois, you thought you knew, I thought I knew going into that game is, listen, Illinois is a tough, hard-nosed football team.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not shocked that Indiana won the game, but it's like, all right, Illinois is going to be able to run the ball with some success. They're going to be able to get some sustained drives along the way. They had no running game. It was non-existent. They had
the
no
nature
offense,
of Bielema ball is you never get a score like that because they just grind the game down to a halt and the clock just expires too quickly.
Yeah, I am telling you what Indiana did, and it may be, we got to see how this season plays out, but we've been saying that at least in the moment over these last couple of years, it's Ohio State, Penn State, and Oregon. And then Michigan, obviously, just a couple of years removed from the national title. If you're throwing in, your clear top four, I'm not sure that Indiana right now. And I was talking before the season. I thought maybe Nebraska, USC, Illinois was kind of the consensus. That's the team that could break into that upper echelon. Again, Michigan is still. It's a pivotal year. That was a huge win for them to me to get on the road. In Lincoln on Saturday. Still want to see how the rest of the season plays out. But, I mean, Booch, it's a sample size, I get it. And the non-conference schedule, I get it. But come on, man. I mean, Indiana, under Cignetti here, is looking like, if anybody is going to disrupt the Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon party, boy, it sure looks to me like Indiana is that team. And again, we'll see what USC and Michigan do the rest of the season. They are lurking there as well for sure. But man, Indiana, whether it's the scheme or whatever, I mean that offense is unbelievable. But the defense, I still can't believe what they did to Illinois. On Saturday. I mean, they just completely stuffed them.
Yeah. So it is possible. It's going to be interesting to watch over the next few weeks. And this is taking nothing away from Indiana. That Illinois offense may just not be as talented as we thought they were. I do think, and I'm totally guilty of this, just like you. I thought this was going to be a really competitive, close game. I think we probably all watched how good South Carolina looked last year, and then saw Illinois beat them in the bowl game and return a lot of those players and just thought, well, they're going to pick up where they left off. And as we're learning at Penn State, it doesn't work that way in college football. And so it may just be that Luke Altmaier and company are regressing to the mean somewhat. But when you talk about Curt Cignetti's ability to coach, here's the testament to that, the lasting testament to Curt Cignetti's ability, irrespective of everything he's done at Indiana since he's gotten there. So Brent Pry, our old defensive coordinator, just got fired at Virginia Tech because things aren't going their way. They are desperate to try to keep that program relevant right now in the tumultuous landscape of college football. So they just announced a major increase in the university's investment in their athletic department. We're talking about to the tune of $50 million.
Yep.
I saw analysts say with a straight face and frankly correctly that was in part Virginia Tech's move to stave off the rise of James Madison as an in-state rival for top talent. And that is almost 100% Kurt Cignetti's coaching job there and the way he built that program up as they made the move to Division 1A.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. And listen, Booch, I got to tell you, I understand what you're saying with Cignetti, but what Ricky Ronnie is doing with Old Dominion, I mean, Virginia Tech is in danger of becoming like fourth on the list of options for in-state recruits. In real danger at the moment, which, I mean, if you grew up with Frank Beamer and that era of Virginia Tech, it is hard to wrap your mind around that.
Crazy.
That would even be a remote possibility.
They had 11 seasons in a 12-year span where they won double-digit games.
Yeah. Yes, and again, to lose to Old Dominion, obviously that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back there for Pride. But it's just amazing to see. And again, we see it constantly. Nebraska is going to be a interesting watch here for the rest of the season now, because kind of like the Penn State Oregon game here. It's not that, I mean, Nebraska could still go out and win a Big Ten title. I mean, at least theoretically. It's just that I have to imagine, and that was obviously a good competitive game. I mean, they had their chances there. It feels like, and I'm presuming, I haven't actually gone and looked at anything from Lincoln this week, but I'm guessing things are ratcheted up pretty good right now on Matt Rule and that Nebraska program, because, again, it was a home game against a team that, while certainly good and getting preseason accolades as being good, that is a very, very winnable game. And if you're a team looking to make that transition into becoming a playoff caliber program, it's just a game you have to find a way to win. And much like they did in all of the close games last year, Nebraska found a way to lose, or Michigan found a way to win, whatever. But I mean, they lost the game. And I just think, to me, it makes it very unlikely now that Nebraska can get back even to the double-digit win total this season. I think they're going to have a hard time getting 8 wins. And it's not because I don't think they're a good enough football team. It's just, again, that is a loss at the stage of the season that it came at. And because, again, there was so much hype in Lincoln for it and around that program, it feels like that's kind of a double loss, even though it goes down as just one L in the column.
Yeah, I said on the air yesterday that really, although I've got a little bit of a soft spot for Brett Bielema, which is funny because I used to hate him, but I mean, he's just kind of grown on me like a fungus. He does go out of his way to say a lot of nice stuff about Joe and Sue Paterno, so I guess I'm a little bit of a cheap date in that regard. But even though I was kind of rooting for him, I also understood it was better for Penn State to be able to bolster its perceived strength of schedule beyond Oregon and Ohio State. So what Indiana did on Saturday night was good for Penn State, setting up that game later on in November. But especially important because the other opportunity for that, I thought, was for Nebraska to knock off Michigan. So once they lost, having Indiana win the way they did and give Penn State an opportunity at what should be another highly ranked team, because I think Indiana should be able to more or less keep rolling here. I think that was important just for our purposes.
Yeah, no question. With the result in Lincoln, it was probably imperative to salvage something outside of Oregon and Ohio State as being the games you can point to for the Nittany Lions. Still, again, just a critical game here from a perception standpoint, both nationally, and certainly national perception is there, and it's getting a lot of talk with James Franklin and the overall record. But I think even more so, it's on the local front and the noise, again, that is going to surround this program if Penn State does not take care of business here on Saturday night. We're going to take a break here. We're back to talk much more Penn State, Oregon, and talk college football in general. We will get to the Steelers and the Eagles as well. And, if Pooch wants, we could even talk a little baseball. The miserable season for the Pirates will fortunately come to an end in Atlanta on Sunday. But, be cool to have a team actually getting ready for the playoffs, as Philadelphia fans have. We will take a break here and be back with much more. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. Chris Buccanati filling in for Goon today. I am down at Quaker Steak Lube, where they are just starting to get things set up for the all-you-can-eat wing buffet. That'll get underway at 4 o'clock this afternoon. If you're a wing fan, and really even if you're not, you may want to come down and check that out. It is good eats, and it is the good wings. They don't cheapskate you on it. It is their normal big juicy wings with all of the favorite sauces that folks have come to know, love, and expect here at Quaker Steak and Lube. By the way, not a bad place to come down and watch your football and, postseason baseball. And, yes, even the NHL, as preseason hockey got underway last night as well. Again, we're back with much more after this on Sports Radio 98.7.
No one likes making trips to the gas station. Well, Lion Country Kia can help. If you're tired of going to the gas station all the time, Lion Country Kia can help with the 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Save now with 2.9% APR financing for up to 48 months. And get $500 Kia Finance bonus cash. There's 14 available that get 38 MPG combined. Say goodbye to all those pump visits. 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrids start at just $32,285. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup too. And their selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Ease that pain at the pump with a 38 MPG combined 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid from Lion Country Kia, 1334 Drivable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College.
Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things. Great times, great food. Get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food. Get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXX, once again, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7 The Fox State College, the Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back on a Tuesday afternoon. Ooh, rain is really coming down, at least here.
Yes, it is coming down in buckets, which is good. It's good. Get it out of the way early.
Amen.
Take care of that
we need it.
Clear it up.
Yeah, we need it, and we need to get it out of the way here before the whiteout game and the important tailgating prior to the whiteout game on Saturday. Again, Booch filling in for Goon today, Chris Bucanani, and yours truly at Quaker Steak and Lube, and getting ready for the whiteout game. The hype just will continue to build until kickoff here on Saturday night. It is fun, as Joe Paterno and many others have said. This games like this are why you come to places like Penn State and Oregon, and it is fun, regardless of what happens on Saturday night. The build-up, the energy in the town, all of the talk, and everybody. I have friends analyzing it. That this is what's going to happen. I'm analyzing it. This is what's going to happen. You and Landon and people that know what they're talking about are analyzing it, and then we're going to actually see
people who know what they're talking about. That's for sure.
Let's just talk a little bit, Booch. What do you see as some keys here? What are the things that you're going to be watching for early that at least we think it's all right? Yep, this is looking like it's going to be our night, or we may be in trouble. Or are there specific matchups that you're looking forward to? Because I have a couple that I think are really intriguing for this game here on Saturday night.
Well, let's start from the assumption that, as Noble said on the obligatory podcast that just posted, and I think he's right, it's the dumbest, most simplistic, commonplace analysis, but it's that way because it's usually true. It comes down to the two quarterbacks. That's not always going to be the case entirely, but really this is, in many ways, Ironhead. Can Drew Aller outperform his underwhelming stats from the first 3 games? And can Dante Moore rise to the occasion in the whiteout? And so if we accept that that's true, that for as important as Penn State's running game is going to be, and for as much of an asset as Oregon's multiple offense and that ability to get fast playmakers in different positions all over the field and create mismatches in that Will Stein offensive coordinator for Oregon versus Jim Knowles chess match will be, the decisive factor may be who gets more consistent play and better clutch performances out of their quarterbacks. I think a key matchup will be, again, on the line of scrimmage in the 2 pass rushes. I think for as generally formidable as Oregon's front 4 was thought to be coming into the season, specifically Mateo Uiagalelei, who is the brother of DJ, the former Clemson / Oregon State / Florida State quarterback.
Yeah.
When I look at them versus the best competition they've played, which is a low bar to clear, I assure you, Northwestern, I don't see a front 4 that I think is going to be able to consistently pressure Drew Aller without Oregon having to bring additional rushers. And I think if the offensive line of Penn State can stymie that Oregon front 4 and force them to have to blitz to put pressure on Drew Aller, I do think that helps Andy Kotelnicki out substantially. That's a key matchup for me right out of the gate.
Yeah, I do think, yes, the line of scrimmage, as Goon will tell you, is always, if not the key, certainly one of the keys in any big matchup. And going into it, I do like Penn State's chances of winning along both lines of scrimmage. I think the defensive line to this point has acquitted itself very well, and I think the depth there has looked really, really good through the first 3 games, albeit against lesser competition. And I guess I still have faith that the offensive line, although not as anywhere near as dominant as I thought it would be for the first 3 games, I am thinking that they probably have figured some things out in terms of personnel groupings and how they want this thing to operate. And I do think that will look better than it has to this stage of the season when they need it most. I just think there's enough experience there. We've seen them individually, the guys that will be counted on here on Saturday. We've seen them have, over the course of the last couple of years, very good performances. And so I do think that line of scrimmage is big. I'll kind of follow up on Brandon Noble's comments, Booch, in that, again, it is certainly not anything that is not going to be said by any analyst analyzing any big game. But I also think it's accurate. And when you watch that Steelers-Patriots game, if you did on Sunday, guess what? The Patriots were the better team, except turnovers. And one of the reasons I like Penn State's chances a whole lot in this game. Say what you want about Drew Aller, and he had one pretty doggone bad throw, but this season. But he took care of the ball. I mean, that has been a pretty consistent Notre Dame end of the game, notwithstanding, and one pass this year notwithstanding. I mean, he does take care of the football and does not turn the ball over. And you can say the same thing about the Penn State running backs. Say what you want about Nicholas Singleton and the start that he's had, but he does hang on to the football, as does Katron Allen. So
yeah,
it just feels likely to me. And turnovers, you can never predict. And obviously, it could be just one of those nights. The ball comes popping out of there, and you can't explain it, and it happens. I mean, that's part of football. Is somewhere along the way, you're going to have a game where a running back who never fumbles, maybe a couple of times. You have a quarterback who always, even when it doesn't turn the ball over, makes the right decisions. There's games here or there where, even Tom Brady threw a couple of picks. So, but going in, you certainly like the idea is, man, with that whiteout crowd, does it not seem likely that Moore, maybe under some pressure, hey, I got to make a play, throws a ball somewhere where he shouldn't, or one of the linemen get to him a little sooner than he's anticipating because of the matchup, I think, favorability there for Penn State's defensive line against Oregon's offensive line. Again, to me, it feels going in like it is more likely than not that Penn State will win the turnover battle. And going in, I mean, if everybody's got to put lines on everything, I would put it at +2 as my over-under for Penn State on the turnovers. Because, again, Penn State just has not turned the ball over much at all. And you figure that has been a point of emphasis, again, over these 2 weeks. Hey, the one thing we can't do is give opportunities away. And you would think that a whiteout crowd with a younger quarterback, younger offensive line, somewhere along the way, you just think there's going to be a turnover or 2 that goes the other way. And again, and not always, but a lot of the time, you go to the end of these big, especially early season matchups, or late season matchups. You go to big matchups, the team that wins the turnover battle, much more often than not, wins the game. And I really like Penn State's chances of winning that going into the game here Saturday.
Yeah, and somewhat in contrast to Drew Aller, who, as you said, historically has been careful, some would argue overcautious with the football. When you watch Dante Moore and how he's played through the first 4 games of the season, it's so difficult with the caliber competition that they're facing. You see some throws where you're like, well, oh, yep, that's the 5-star blue chipper right there. Not a ton of guys in the sport who could make that throw. You also see some decisions where you think, boy, he's lucky he was playing a crappy Oklahoma State team, or an undermanned Northwestern defense when he did this, because if he does that against Jim Knowles in Penn State on Saturday night, they're more likely going to make him pay for it. So, yeah, I'll buy that. And, I mean, it goes back to the point I made before, Ironhead. Can you free up your defensive play caller to get the most out of his personnel by consistently getting pressure with 4? And I think, as I look at it, I do believe that's a place where Penn State has an advantage going into the game on both sides of the ball. And they're going to need it because there are so many guys you have to keep track of when they are on the field for Oregon. And that starts with true freshman receiver DeCorian Moore, who, if I'm being honest, is better than anybody Penn State's got in its wide receiver room right now and probably has for several years.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a buddy of mine last night, and he said, if I'm Knowles, the first thing I do is I just bracket DeCorian Moore and make somebody else beat me. And I think that's probably a valid approach, but the bad news is that somebody could be Kenyon Sadiq, their tight end, who might be the best guy at his position in college football this year.
He is very good. You're going to see a lot of very good tight end play here on Saturday night.
Yeah.
I will say, if you are somebody that enjoys tight end play, blocking and receiving, you've got 3 or 4 pretty special guys that you can hone in on here on Saturday night. And listen, going back to the Penn State side of the ball offensively, I do think those tight ends are going to be a really key component here on Saturday night. I mentioned I think they have to get Drew Aller in a rhythm and get him feeling good and confident. And I think one of the ways you do that is you make some throws that are easy throws, the old pitch and catch, and just run a couple of curl routes early in the game with your tight ends. They are going to be mismatch issues for just about anybody in college football. And again, it doesn't have to be big play. 8 yards here, 7 yards there, 10-yard pop there. And it just loosens some things up. I think Penn State, I've been in an ongoing discussion with one of my buddies, and admittedly, neither of us know. It has been perplexing to me, the lack of even trying to use the middle of the field with Drew Aller through the first 3 games of this season. And I guess the optimist in me is like that they are setting up. They're making it so that Oregon goes into this thing saying, listen, Penn State just goes to the sideline and they'll come out early and, oh, look at that. They're almost nothing but the middle of the field. At some point, you have to utilize the middle of the field. I get that it can be more congested. I get that, that more bad things can happen. But also, you can pop some really big plays. You can make things a little easier on your quarterback. An 8-yard throw on a curl route from your tight end is a lot easier than the 6-yard out to the sideline on your quarterback. And I just have to believe that Penn State is either trying to set something up or is just waiting. That's like, we just want to keep working on some other things here with Drew's game, but we know we have this in our hip pocket. And that will be something we see, I'm suspecting, early in the game here Saturday night is, hey, look at this. We do know there's a middle of the field that we can utilize with the passing game.
Yeah, I like that. I'll buy that for sure. You talking about these tight ends, Ironhead, as I'm listening to you talk, I'm thinking to myself, do you think it's possible that because Luke Reynolds is following Tyler Warren, he is probably, among our fans at least, underrated compared to where he would be if he wasn't following a guy who had just won the Mackey Award and it was NFL Rookie of the Week and everything, and the way, because if he was a really highly touted recruit, he did everything you would ask of him as a true freshman, And he's shown nothing but improvement and growth so far this season. And I feel like folks still aren't talking about him because in their head, they're thinking, well, he's not Tyler Warren.
Yeah, I think that probably is the case. And I'll just throw in there, Booch, when you going back to last year, the Rappleyea has been raved about from teammates from the time he stepped on campus as well. And yes, I mean, I think Reynolds is elite. I also, if you have gone back and watched some of the film from these first 3 games, Khalil Dinkins and his ability to drive, and again, I understand, caliber of opponent, I get it. But it's not that he is just completing his assignment. When we talk about a guy dominating and finishing off the play to leave no doubt that the player he is assigned to block will not be a factor, because he can't be a factor when he's off the field. He gets driven off. I mean, Dinkins has just been truly amazing in his ability to finish off blocks and stay with blocks. So, and Dinkins is also a very good receiver. I think Penn State, both of these teams, I think can rely on their tight ends to a very high degree, both in the running game as blockers, but certainly in the passing game as well, to be key components here. And maybe, maybe that is one of the keys is can either defense come up with a play or two here along the way that is a difference maker, where it's like, hey, I know it's going to the tight end, and you cut in under and get a big play on the ball, because I'm expecting both teams are going to be tight end reliant early. Penn State, because I think they want to get Drew Aller in that rhythm. And again, I'm not saying it's going to be tight ends exclusive. Just so we're clear, I do think with what we've seen with the receiving core, it'll be a mix. But I do think that tight end spot can be a real nice safety valve here, especially early for Drew Aller if that's the direction they want to go, and that's what I'm kind of expecting. And when you're in that whiteout crowd and you're trying to get your quarterback settled in, if you're Oregon with Moore, tight end with the capabilities of Oregon, I think you're almost assuredly going to see a heavy dose of the tight end on those first couple of series, if not throughout the entire night, for the Ducks as well.
Yeah, and here's, we're getting up here to the top of the hour, another little hidden element to watch in the game that plays directly off of what you just talked about with the tight ends as blockers. All credit to Landon Tengwall on this one. Landon flagged this on the film. He talked about it on his live show last night. Both Khalil Dinkins and Kenyon Sadiq for Oregon. Not only do those guys like to finish their blocks, Ironhead, they like to, just give a little bit extra business right at the very end to get up under the skin of the guys they've been blocking. They get them on the ground, and then they make sure they know they got them on the ground. And I really do think in an emotionally charged environment, like a high-stakes game with the crowd as amped up as they are, they know they're on national television, they're under the lights, the whiteout is going on, there's energy crackling through the building. The team that is able to keep its composure and avoid the temptation to do or say something that draws a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, that could be decisive. And that's just not a theoretical thing I made up. I think it's fair to say, as frustrating as it may be to reckon with it, that one 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalty could have been the difference between winning and losing the Ohio State game last year for Penn State.
I think no question. Again, unforced errors. You don't want to make them in a game like this. If you're Penn State or Oregon, you want to thrive off of the emotion and the energy that'll be in the stadium on Saturday night. But it's always, hey, you got to keep it under control and understand the assignment still need to be carried out. and you've got to play to the whistle, go all the way to the whistle, and then understand no matter how good or bad, whatever's happening has happened. Boom, you're done. Get back to the huddle, get to the next play. I think that the team that does the better job of that gives their side a much better chance of coming out with the win here on Saturday night. Earlier we had Jim Knowles is about to make Dante Moore look like Dinty Moore beef stew, sloppy and underwhelming. I hope you are right. I do think Penn State will get some pressure on him, and we'll see how he responds, right, and how that offense responds. Also again, Penn State offensively has just got to come out and make some plays, make some things happen early, and get some tough yards. When they need
get
them,
an early lead and put them in a little bit of a box. I mean, to the commenter's point, and I love the play on words. Watching Ironhead, watching Oregon's offense versus Oklahoma State's defense I may as well have been watching them run plays on air. I mean, there was so little resistance to what they were doing. You do start to wonder, what is it going to be like for that young man when all of a sudden it's just not being served up to him on a silver platter? We probably don't appreciate how much speed Penn State has recruited to its defense the last few years. This is a fast, aggressive group, and it's not for nothing. Jim Knowles is making more than any other defensive coordinator in college, or really the NFL, save the two who appeared in the Super Bowl last year.
Well, and listen, this is the game right now. Obviously, playoffs hopefully to come. But I mean, this is the game where you expect that stuff to pay off, right? You went out and you brought in a Jim Knowles. You got all of the guys returning that could have gone to the NFL last year. Your two running backs, the tight ends. I just write down the list. It's all right. You did all of that with the idea of we want to try to win a national title. At the very least, you want to make sure you get to the Final Four. It just feels like this needs to be a step in that process. Taking care of business in the whiteout game against a very good opponent, but an opponent that is, I think, rightfully ranked below you. You need to go out and take care of business here. It can be a really close game. It can come down to a last-second field goal. That's fine. You just need to win this game and keep the energy and the positive vibes that have been building really for the last 3 years now. Keep that going. And I just, the danger and the fear is it comes to a screeching halt if you let this game get away from you on Saturday night. And again, I do think the pressure is squarely on Penn State here. Oregon can lose this game, certainly if it's a close game, and suffer really no repercussions from it. I don't think it would be viewed as anything other than an expected tough loss on the road against a national title contending team. No big deal. If Penn State loses this game, at least out. In the moment,
look out.
It is, yes, the sky will be falling here in Happy Valley. Just don't create that scenario. Don't allow that opportunity if you're Penn State. We need to take a timeout here. We will do so and be back with much more. Another hour of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show rolls your way next.
No one likes making trips to the gas station. Well, Lion Country Kia can help. If you're tired of going to the gas station all the time, Lion Country Kia can help with the 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Save now with 2.9% APR financing for up to 48 months. And get $500 Kia Finance bonus cash. There's 14 available that get 38 MPG combined. Say goodbye to all those pump visits. 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrids start at just $32,285. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup too. And their selection of certified pre-owned Kia Kias. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Ease that pain at the pump with a 38 MPG combined 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid from Lion Country Kia. 1334 Drivable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7 The Fox State College, the Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back on this rainy Tuesday afternoon as we get you ready for the whiteout contest coming up on Saturday night. Beaver Stadium, 7:30 kick between the Nittany Lions and the Ducks. Oregon, of course, coming in at 4-0. This will be their second Big Ten game. They opened up conference play a couple weeks ago against Northwestern. Penn State, of course, playing its Big Ten opener with the bye week last week. I know for a while the bye week was kind of a bugaboo for James Franklin. I just the timing of this bye week, Booch, and because of the veteran leadership on this team, I have zero concern. I do think in this particular case, this does bode well for Penn State, and it is one of the reasons why. Again, I think the perception here is Penn State needs to win this game because it does feel like everything is in Penn State's favor. They're the higher ranked team. They have the more experienced quarterback. They have the more highly heralded coordinators. It's obviously a home game. It's a whiteout. You've had the extra week of preparation. I mean, pretty much everything that you could check in a football game. All right, advantage. I think if you look at the lines, the offensive and defensive lines, I think we get the edge there as well in terms of matchup check marks. Where you can't have the advantage in all of those places and then lose that game and not expect there to be, again, at least in the moment, the feeling that, well, this was all for naught.
Yeah, and real quick before I hop to a different device here, Ironhead.
Yeah.
The point about the bye weeks, I've been trying to drive this home for folks. It doesn't totally excuse the whole bye week stuff, but I have argued for a long time, and if you disagree, that's fine. It is what it is. I think you got to give James Franklin a pretty much of a pass from the results of the 2014 and the 2015 seasons. When you consider the situation he was walking into, 65 scholarships, big problems on the offensive and the defensive lines, but especially the O-line, a team on its third coach in 3.5 years, a lot of issues working against him. And still we didn't have a losing season. It was 7-6 both years, so credit to him. But we had 2 bye weeks in 2015. And those were up and down years, frankly, just like the last year of Bill O'Brien was. Same deal. Very up and down. You had some great games. You had some real stinkers. So James loses off his first 3 bye weeks in his first 2 years. And that, I think, has skewed the stat for a very long time about James Franklin off the bye week. So, yeah, there have been some bad losses out of bye weeks, but I wonder if he wasn't in that 0-3 hole to start with. Would that have ever even become a narrative? And the farther and farther away we have gotten from that time period and the larger the sample size has grown, the less egregious the number has looked. So I don't worry about the bye week thing almost at all.
Yeah, and I don't think I think most fans are with you in that regard, and I think rightfully so. A couple of things, just big picture stuff, college football, because it is interesting, and this will continue to evolve as the season progresses because, as always, we get more information with each passing week on the various teams. And so in the Big Ten, again, going into the season, pretty much everybody had Ohio State, Penn State, and Oregon in whatever order. And it was Penn State or Ohio State as the top dog in the conference. The other is number 2, and Oregon a clear number 3. And then Illinois seemed to be a relatively solid consensus 4. Certainly Michigan. Again, USC, the fan base and the media covering USC have been saying all along this offseason that they are loading up to make their move this season. And, early indications are good. We'll see how that plays out. It felt like this was a critical year for Nebraska. And listen, they can still obviously come on strongly, but that was a tough loss to Michigan at home last week. And I think it feels like it's going to make it a tougher assignment for Nebraska to kind of crack in there into the top 6 or so. In the conference this year. Iowa kind of, to me, looks like it's Iowa. Minnesota kind of looks like it's Minnesota. Wisconsin has certainly dropped off. That is a situation that needs to get rectified sooner rather than later. I don't think there's any question about that. But I think when you look at the overall picture in the Big Ten, maybe replace Indiana replace Illinois rather with Indiana after the results last week. But I think to a large degree, the conference, at least at this point, is kind of looking and shaping up as we were anticipating. The top 3 still feel like they're pretty definitively Ohio State, Penn State, and Oregon. And I guess we'll find out Saturday night if we're still comfortable with Ohio State and Penn State being the top 2, and then Oregon the clear 3. Again, if you put Indiana there instead of Illinois as the 4, and then again Michigan, I think USC is to me now kind of the intriguing team as to whether or not they are ready to make that move and maybe even venture into playoff contending territory. Still need to see some more from them as the season develops, but it feels like that is a possibility. But again, to a large degree, I think the Big Ten, with the exception of Illinois' I think we could call it a lackluster performance against Indiana. The Big Ten feels like it is shaping up largely as we were anticipating back at the start of the season. Feels like a win third down kind of game, chiming in from the comments. Yes, third downs are going to be, I think, very important. And I think from Penn State's side, obviously getting into third and short as often as possible would be preferable. But here's the thing. Third and whatever, to me, Booch, this team ought to feel comfortable there. Drew Aller, I mean, I don't care if it's third and 15. It's Drew Aller, for crying out loud. At this stage of his career, make the 15-yard throw and get the first down. But certainly if you're in those third and 2, third and 3 situations, like this is the year and this is the game, you have to convert that. However you do it, you have to convert it.
You went out and you invested all those resources to bring in improved wide receivers via the transfer portal, which I think we can agree that we have.
Yep.
And we've got the advantage at tight end that we talked about, the depth, the talent. Nick Singleton's a good receiving option as well. And you're spending a lot of money on Andy Kotelnicki, frankly. Now, you don't want to be off schedule on first and second down, of course, but it's going to happen. And I agree. You want to find yourself in a position where if you have to convert a few third and longs, even if it's third and 10 plus, that's not an automatic punting situation.
Yeah, and again, with yes, you don't want to be in those situations, or certainly not in them often. But again, you have a veteran, very good offensive line. You have a receiving core that I think is, vastly improved from a year ago, from what Penn State had a year ago. You have tight ends who are 3 tight ends who are playmakers, and you have 2 of the top running backs in the country. 2 of the top 10, let's say. Anyway, well, with that offensive setup, again, you ought to be able to convert a third and 10 or a third and 15 even here or there over the course of a game, even against a top 5 or 6 opponent. Like that should be happening in a year like this when you need it. Third down is going to be critical. And on the other side, there is just no question that Penn State defense, Booch, if you get to third down, you've got to feed off of that crowd. Again, you've got to stay home, stay with your assignment, keep more contained, but you got to get off the field. If you are creating, even if it's third and short, more often than not, again, you have to feed in to the energy of that crowd by making the stop. The crowd is going to give you the energy. You've got to use that energy. Go make the play and give them every reason to continue to make the noise that they undoubtedly will throughout the course of the night. But you just, third downs, as always, also in big games like this, are going to be important. And again, at least going in, you would certainly think Penn State should be in good shape on both sides of the ball, offensively to convert on third downs, and certainly defensively, especially if you can get into, let's say 3rd and 5 or longer situations against Oregon. You ought to be able to get off the field more often than not. Now, again, Oregon, I'm not saying every time it's that the Penn State defense is a disaster if it's giving up a 3rd and 6 here on a run to Dante Moore, designed or otherwise. Again, over the course of 4 quarters, you have the athletes that Oregon does. You have the offensive scheme that the Ducks have. Yeah, you're going to give up some plays. We get that. But the point is, over the course of 4 quarters, you need to be winning that third down battle. And going in to the contest, I think there is every reason to believe that Penn State will and certainly should be winning that third down battle. As to me, it feels like they should with the turnover battle, and to me, it feels like even special teams. Let's go down the checklist of all of the things that the coaches and experts always talk about in big games: turnovers, quarterback play, line play. home field advantage, poise, and all of that. And then special teams somewhere along the way. Special teams, whether it's just, a big field goal to win it, or a big punt that changes the field position around, or a big punt return that changes the field position around. Penn State, to me, feels going into this game like it is well positioned to have the advantage in special teams as well. And again,
you get the feeling, Ironhead, that Gabe Wusu could be a secret weapon for Penn State in this game, both as a punter and a kickoff guy. As a punter, he's shown certainly in his prior opportunities, which fortunately there have not been that many because of the caliber of competition, that he can flip field position, but also because teams have not scored a whole heck of a lot on Oregon so far. Again, caliber of competition, but given the amount of speed on that roster, you would think they probably have some dudes who could do damage as kick returners. Yes. And Gabe is a guy who is capable of consistently booting the ball through the back of the end zone. To me, if I'm Justin Lustig, I am just telling Gabe, hey, kick it out the back of the end zone every single time. Do not give them any opportunity to put those speedy guys on the field and returning it back the other direction. Just keep booting it the way you've been booting it, son.
Amen. And yes, keep pinning when you're out there punting. Hopefully not too many opportunities here Saturday night, but go ahead and keep pinning the opponent inside the 20, which he has done every time this season. Again, to me, I feel good about Penn State's return game going into this thing, and the decision making on the return game, which can also factor in. You don't want to let the ball hit the turf and give up unnecessary yards. You don't want to take unnecessary shots where you're risking the turnover. If you need to make the fair catch, make the fair catch. But if you have the opportunity to get some positive yards on a return, go ahead and take advantage of that. So I think, it'll be a key component, and it's hard to know with certainty going in how it will play out. But boy, it sure feels to me like that's another area of the game where going in, you feel like you need to win it. And to me, I think Penn State has a slight advantage in that area heading into the contest on Saturday night. I do want to just going back to Oregon for a moment, because the one thing, again, I do think that, to me, the pressure is all on Penn State here. And while neither team is under the pressure of, my gosh, we have to win this or we're out of the playoffs, I think the loser of this game, more likely than not, unless we have the unlikely 63-10 Indiana-Illinois scenario play out here on Saturday night, I think the loser of this game is still in the top 12 and very possibly still in the top 10 come the rankings next week. So it's not.
Look, if Illinois was still ranked after taking that whooping they got from Indiana, and Notre Dame was still ranked when they were 0-2, they're not going to punish either one of these teams that badly for losing.
No, and listen, Oregon, I think, has really, to me, there's nothing but upside. Even if it's a blowout loss, and I'm not really envisioning that scenario playing out. But even if, let's say Penn State wins it like 38-14, I still think, if you're Oregon and you're Dan Lanning, you go back and say, all right, well, we just lost in the toughest environment in the country to a team that clearly is a national title contender, and we can learn from it, and we'll be better, and we've got a long ways to go. We saw some good things, undoubtedly there will be some good things that they can build on. So, even worst case scenario to me for Oregon, it's like, all right, well, we're still on track to be a playoff team. We still have everything to play for. And I think it's a learning experience. And I think even from their fan base, right, a loss here at Happy Valley, not exactly devastating news for your program, and especially if it's a competitive game, which I anticipate it will be. Again, I think still a lot of positives you can take away if you're Oregon, and still, again, we can make an adjustment here or there, and we're right there in the national title picture again this season.
No, if I'm Dan Lanning and they take an L on Saturday, you know what I'm telling the team on Sunday morning? Hey guys, we're just Ohio State right now. They came out to our building last year, tough environment, lost a tough one, and then they got us on a neutral field and they gave it to us. Well, all we got to do is take care of our business the way they took care of theirs, and we'll see these guys again.
Yeah, no question. So again, in that regard, I do think this is a game that Penn State just has to find a way to get the W. And listen, I ultimately think they will. I think it is going to be a fun game. I think there is obviously going to be a great atmosphere. The one thing I am really curious to see, obviously the whiteout crowd is now part of college football lore. It is a legendary experience, all of that. But I was really intrigued. Obviously, I'm not down on the field during the game. And although the media, and maybe I will take advantage of it this week, we are allowed down on the field for the final 5 minutes. I've not done that for the first 3 games this year. Brian Tripp, who does the sideline reporting for the Penn State radio network, he has commented a couple of times, and he talked about it in the Villanova game early, and then he made mention of it late in the game as well, that with the configuration that they have now on the in the west stands, where the press box used to be, and obviously they have the temporary seating there now up above. Brian said he believes it is substantially louder on the field. He said at the beginning of that Villanova
I've heard that too.
Yeah, the fans were obviously into it at the start of that Villanova game. And he said he thinks that was louder than anything with the whiteout game even from a year ago. And that was, again, Villanova, where they had, I don't know what they claimed or whatever, but it was probably 90,000. I mean, it was still a good crowd, but
it was 107,000 easy, Ironhead. I mean,
but those uppers,
the place was bursting at the seams.
Those upper stands, though, when filled in, like I do wonder if it's going to be even louder than a normal whiteout experience. Just how difficult and how, I guess, likely it would be for there to be at least a couple of false start penalties against Oregon. I get it that they practice this stuff, and again, Oregon has a top-notch coaching staff. I mean, that they are right there with the best staffs in the country. So it's not that I think they're going to be coming out and flummoxed and, oh my gosh, what do we do? But it's just different when you actually can't hear.
I don't buy that whole we played Mo Bamba really loud on the speakers. Like, I have never heard anyone, coach or player, who I've talked to and said, hey, look, off the record, just be honest with me. Does that really prepare you in any way? They all say the same thing. They're like, no, it's not even close.
Well, and listen, and it's just different when you're out there and you're facing a Penn State defense that has the athletes that it does, and they're ramped up with the crowd. So I mean, it's the combination.
Well, and that's human energy. I mean, this game is being played by human beings, and there are 100,000 plus human beings who are just screaming at you with primal bloodlust. That is not the same as we crank the speakers up to 11 inside our practice facility.
And so, listen, you may, all right, yep, I know the snap count. I understand what I'm looking for with the silent count and all of that. But also now, I'm the offensive tackle, and, oh, hey, look, there's Denai Dennis Sutton standing across from me. So now I'm hearing this crowd. I know that somehow I've got to try to prevent Denai from taking out my quarterback so he has time. I'm just saying, there's a lot in play there. Again, I'm not expecting Oregon to come in and just be terrified and look completely gobsmacked and, oh my gosh, what do we do? We can't. But do I think somewhere along the way you're going to have a guy or two flinch? Yeah. One of the things I will say, Auburn a few years ago, Booch, that is the one team that came in and really did not seem phased. Like, I don't think they had a false start, because I kept waiting for it. I'm like, well, at some point, and the crowd was into it. And I mean, Penn State obviously won the game, but it wasn't. Auburn did a remarkable job of handling that crowd. To me, I think that was the best job I've seen an opposing team do with the environment. In terms of not, I think Penn State was the better team, and that's why they won that night. But I don't think Auburn let the whiteout in and of itself help beat them. I think it's going to be very hard.
I mean, SEC environments, man, are probably the closest you're going to get on a routine basis to the whiteout. Now, the one thing with Dante Moore, going back to how will he handle the conditions. He did play some at UCLA his true freshman year, including, I think, making the start, if I'm remembering correctly. But he for sure played the majority of the snaps at Utah. And capacity-wise, it's not even close. But I got to give the Utah fans their flowers, man, for the capacity of that stadium. When you watch that game when you watch their home games on television and they got a marquee opponent in town, you can tell they make it pretty inhospitable. So it's not like he hasn't had the experience of playing in a difficult road environment at all. I'm not sure that I'm going to go and say that even the toughest road game at Utah compares to the whiteout. But, he threw for 253 yards, a touchdown, and a pick in a 14-7 loss. So it's not like he was the reason that UCLA lost the game.
Yeah, no, listen,
that's a true freshman with, frankly, like, pretty lousy skill position talent. Not one of those last.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit on a spooch, but yeah, listen. I think at the end of the day, it's just hard. All props. If we'll certainly obviously be talking about the game either way next week. I will, if Oregon gets through this thing without any false start penalties or any mistakes being made as a result of the crowd or the crowd noise, again, I will salute them and tip my cap, because I think it is very unlikely that you get through 4 quarters of play with the as revved up as that crowd is going to be. And again, if it is even noisier, which I believe it is going to be here, than what a normal whiteout is in that stadium. Again, if they are able to do that, hats off to them. I think it is very unlikely, again, that over 4 quarters they're not going to have a couple of times where, with the anticipation of the blocking assignments with the Penn State's defensive line and that crowd, that you're not going to have some mistakes, at least a few, made over the course of 4 quarters. We'll take a break here. We are back with a final segment. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Falls.
No one likes making trips to the gas station. Well, Lion Country Kia can help. If you're tired of going to the gas station all the time, Lion Country Kia can help with the 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Save now with 2.9% APR financing for up to 48 months. And get $500 Kia Finance bonus cash. There's 14 available that get 38 MPG combined. Say goodbye to all those pump visits. 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrids start at just $32,285. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup too. And their selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Ease that pain at the pump with a 38 MPG combined 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid from Lion Country Kia, 1334 Drivable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter. And I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors. People invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again.
The Fox, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America. 98.7. The Fox, State College. The Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back with a final segment on this Tuesday as the hype continues to build. Certainly, the energy will continue to build in town throughout the week. We'll be back here on Thursday. And then, of course, Friday town will become mayhem, fun mayhem at that. And then the tailgating scene should be quite the scene on Saturday. Again, Penn State, Oregon, 7:30 kickoff on Saturday night at Beaver Stadium in the first of the two big games, games that everybody's had circled on their calendar really since the end of the Notre Dame game last year, Booch. This is kind of new. This season was largely going to come down to these two games. Now, obviously now maybe Indiana still need to take care of business, the other ones, all of that. But, you know, it feels like if Penn State wins this one, Booch, also, to go back to the importance of winning it, then you kind of do feel like you're playing with house money a little bit with the trip to Columbus. Again, still need to take care of business. I get it. But that's one thing James Franklin and this program have done very well in recent years is they don't stub their toe where they're not supposed to. So you feel like if they take care of business here Saturday night, they are at the very least playoff bound here in 2025.
The thing I really respect about James Franklin Ironhead is that he is a process-oriented guy. You know, you just find the things that work and you stick with them, and it's about discipline and doing those things consistently. I'm like that too. So you listen to me from year to year. I keep hitting the same points consistently because I believe in them. And I think that one of the reasons why you have seen that drop-off in losing the game that was becoming a hallmark in the earlier years of his tenure at Penn State is because he hadn't built the roster depth that we have now. So you can feel more and more confident that Penn State is equipped to handle most opponents except the ones who are recruiting and developing talent at the same level as Penn State is right now. And to your point, if the Nittany Lions win this one, which again, you got to get it at home in the whiteout, then your available paths to the postseason open up significantly. There are a few different routes you can take to the 12-team playoff.
Yeah.
If you lose it, again, dependent on how people perceive Indiana, because they still do have to play Oregon a few weeks down the line here.
Yep.
Your path narrows substantially, and it requires you doing something, as I said earlier, you've only done twice since you started competing in football in the Big Ten, and that's beat the Buckeyes in Columbus.
Yeah, and again, that is not a Penn State thing. That is an everybody thing.
Yes,
there's nobody
absolutely.
that's gone in there with any sort of regularity and walked away with W's on a consistent basis. It is a very tough place to play, and in large part because they are a really good program and have been obviously for a very long time. A couple of things I did want to just touch on, Booch, before we wrap things up today. Do want to talk a little bit about the Steelers and the Eagles. Eagles, obviously, that is as dramatic an ending to a game as you could have. And listen, it's finding a way to win, and it does feel like, I mean, Philadelphia, at the very least, is just going to be there all season long and will be among the contenders. It certainly feels like. And listen, Jalen Hurts, the guy just very consistently does what that team needs him to do to earn those W's. And, you know, you kind of knew, I think most of us were expecting that. And the Rams are going to do everything they can to take Saquon Barkley out of it. And with that defensive line, it felt like that was a pretty good chance that would happen, and it did. And Jalen Hurts said, that's all right. I will take the opportunities that I have. We'll make them. Obviously, they get the blocked field goal at the end, which, you can't rely on, but that's a huge moment. And again, they could lose that game, and I don't think the perception of the Eagles changes much at all. But when you win games like that, it has that when the Chiefs had it rolling, which, boy, they do not. It's early, I get it, but, man, that Chiefs-Ravens game coming up this weekend is suddenly very intriguing for reasons that we weren't anticipating at the start of the season. But boy,
good point.
Has it rolling, and Jalen Hurts again, Booch. That guy is perfect for that team and what they need.
Yeah, no question. Like, I think I told you this before, Ironhead. There was definitely a little bit of the Mike Schmidt quote. In Philly, you can experience the thrill of victory and the agony of reading about it the next morning going on with the Eagles' first two games, where there was some wailing and gnashing of teeth because there was not a ton of offensive output, specifically in the passing game, through the first two games of the season. And again, like, oh, God, I just give you the laundry list of reasons why that's ridiculous. First of all, we always oversample narrative in the first few weeks of the NFL regular season. It's basically the preseason now. People still don't appreciate. We're watching the NFL preseason, the first 3 or 4 weeks of the year. So the starters don't play at all in the regular season. They practice way less than they did in training camp than they used to. And it's 17 games in the regular season. You just can't make any definitive statements about who's who or what's what that early in the year. That's point number one. Number two, Philly fans were already ready to fire the new offensive coordinator. They sound like Steelers fans. I've lived in Happy Valley for 30 years. I don't think Steelers fans have not hated the offensive coordinator of the Steelers the entire time. So they're ready to fire him after 2 seasons. And I'm like, guys, can we please just take a deep breath and appreciate that we just went to Arrowhead and beat Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in their building at a time when they were desperate to not start the season 0-2. They've got a pretty good defense. And, there's probably going to be a little bit of a learning curve when you replace Kellen Moore, a guy who's been a successful OC at 2 different stops, with a guy who's calling plays for the first time. And here we are. It's the 3rd week of the season. And when the Eagles absolutely had to do it and unleash the dudes in that passing offense, there was Jalen Hurts looking just like the guy who won the MVP of the Super Bowl in taking that Chiefs dynasty to the woodshed, connecting on 1 3rd and long after another and finding Devonta Smith on a key 4th down to keep a scoring drive alive. I don't know at what point you realize, guys, we're allowed to exhale just a little bit and appreciate that this ain't college football. We don't have to worry about where we're ranked in the polls next week. It's a binary. It's a 1 or a 0 in the win column. And great teams find different ways to win. That, to me, is the number one lesson to take through the first 3 weeks of the season from Philadelphia's standpoint, that they have shown a capacity to win games in different ways via talent that has been already proven in prior seasons. So, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of other good teams in the NFC this year. I think the Lions looked great last night. The Packers have looked really good. They're going to get to test themselves against Todd Bowles and the Buccaneers in Tampa, which has been kryptonite for Philly for the last several years. And that Rams team is really good. So there are going to be a number of contenders, but no question in my mind the Eagles have proven that they remain among the best, if not still the team to beat in the conference and in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Detroit Lions are looking again like they're right there as well. I was really impressed with Detroit last night. Very happy for Detroit last night as a Steelers fan.
Yeah, you were thrilled
too, and I'll become a big Chiefs fan. But man, that 98-yard drive that Detroit had last night, where it was 18 plays, 98 yards. You take over 11 minutes off the clock. I mean, that is a soul-crushing drive that the Lions put together. And listen, the Ravens are still, to me, the team to beat in the AFC North. But if you're the Steelers, listen, their offense was awful. Aaron Rodgers did not play well, all of that. But you got the W. So to your point, yeah, great teams, championship teams find ways to win. Sometimes mediocre teams do too. And the Steelers did that. But here's the thing. So if the Steelers, and it's a big if, because this just seems like the recurring theme. If you're a Steelers fan, it's like, well, if we just take care of business against the Seahawks, like now you're sitting here at 3-0 and you're feeling really good about the start of the season. Now you're just kind of feeling pretty good and you're worried about the offense coming off of this. Now the Vikings have some injury concerns, and this will be a very interesting game to me over in Dublin on Sunday morning. But a real opportunity here for Pittsburgh, albeit early. And again, even if the Steelers win and the Ravens lose again to the Chiefs, so you'd be talking about a 3-1 Steelers and a 1-3 Ravens. I still, if I had to bet, would tell you that I think the Ravens at the end of the day are going to win the AFC North. But you want to make as much hay as you can while you can. And the Steelers do have an opportunity. I mean, we were talking about it throughout the preseason that, I think Pittsburgh has an excellent chance to get off to a 4-2 or 5-1 type of start. That still is very much the case. And it feels to me like they probably need to do that, get to at least 4-2 to have a chance to be any kind of a contending team because that second half of the schedule does get much more difficult. I don't think you can't help but worry about the long-term health here of Aaron Rodgers. When you watch this offensive line and Rodgers, I mean, there were a couple of times you just saw the frustration, understandably so, on Sunday. I just think it's going to wear on him as the season progresses. Hopefully the offensive line makes some progress, gets better, but it's not going to be an offensive line that gives him great protection throughout the course of the season. And it feels to me virtually inevitable that at some point Aaron Rodgers is going to be sidelined. You just hope it's not going to be for a long stretch, and then see how the Steelers are able to weather that storm. Because the one thing with Rodgers, and again, he did not play well Sunday, but when they needed him to deliver, he delivered. I mean, the throw to Calvin Austin was right on the money. That was not an easy throw, and it gave the Steelers the win, along with the 5 turnovers that fortunately they were able to get over the course of the game.
Well, that's where you're spending your money. Like we've talked about this a lot over the years, and wherever you invest your salary cap in the NFL is where you need to get production. And the Steelers, I think, again this season, have a higher percentage of their salary cap committed to defense than any other team in the league. Is that correct?
Yes, it is correct. Yeah, and listen, TJ Watt got a couple of sacks.
Even if it's close, that's what you need. You need that production.
Yes. Yes, and that's the thing. So, you need a TJ Watt to get a turnover or get a couple of sacks. You need a Jalen Ramsey to come up with some big plays, which he is. Cam Hayward looked more like Cam Hayward really for the first time this season. I think, maybe it was just kicking off the rust more than the age because he was playing at a very high level and a very fast pace on Sunday. So it does seem like
it's almost like we overreact to week 1 and 2 of the NFL regular season, Ironhead.
That doesn't seem right. Not for fans. No, I don't think NFL teams typically would do that. But yeah, perhaps you have a point. Listen, and you watch the Browns beat the Packers and some of the other games this past weekend. It really is true. On any given Sunday, it is hard over the course of 17 games to heck, in college, you don't see it. There's not a team out there that is consistently great, even great teams. So you're just not consistently great for 12 games, let alone 17. And in a league that is designed for parity, right? They do everything they can to try to create even rosters and even matchups. Yeah, along the way, you're going to have, it's just inevitable. You're going to have a game where you're just shaking your head. And hopefully if you're, at the Eagles-Rams, you wouldn't be shaking your head over the last of the Rams. That's a very good team. But, the Packers at the end of the season are going to be trying to figure out how in the world they lost to the Browns. But again, Cleveland played a really good game. Green Bay, I suspect, even though everybody will tell you, no, we don't take anybody for granted. Come on. It's the Browns. You're telling me the Packers weren't thinking after looking at the film of that, both of their film and the Browns, that, hey, we got this. And Cleveland, to their credit, came out and played a very good football game. And again, Cleveland has a lot of talent. That is not a team that is devoid of talent. They just they don't know how to win. They never have, and I'm not sure they ever will. But but they found a way to get it done on Sunday. And again, to me, it's just a reminder you can never take any NFL result for granted, or very, very few anyway, for granted. Because it's, again, you just don't know. Different teams get up in different weeks, and it's you get a couple of turnovers or unfortunate bounces or a couple of calls that go against you, and all of a sudden you're in a hole and you can't get out of it. And it's one game out of 17, and what does it really matter at the end of the day if you're a contending team, unless it comes back to bite you for a playoff spot, as has happened with the Steelers in years gone.
Sure, which is why you have to imagine from the Rams' perspective, as they can probably take some positives away from being able to hang with Philly in the link. That is tough luck, man, to come across the country, get the red zone turnover you needed to get the cheap and easy points to help give you control of that game in the first half. And then really the 1-2 punch of, the 2 blocked field goals, that's a brutal way to lose it. But they lost the game as much, Ironhead, in their defense, surrendering 26 consecutive points to Philadelphia as they did with their special teams, allowing the 2 kicks to get blocked. That's a bitter pill to swallow and take with you back home, that cross-country trip. It's a real shame.
Yep, no question. I mentioned on our morning show on Monday that just for one day, it felt like we were back in the glory days of the 70s. The Pirates beat the A's 11-0 on Sunday. The Steelers defense causing 5 turnovers. It was one day where it felt like that. Pirates mercifully will wrap up their season, 3 against the Reds here and then 3 against the Braves. Phillies, though, gearing up for the postseason, Booch, and I'll tell you, the playoffs, I think, are just going to be fascinating. Both the American League and the National League this season. There's just storylines galore, matchups galore. I really like the Phillies' chances here of getting to the World Series. I really do. It just feels like they have there's something magical that feels like it's going on. When you can withstand the injuries, Wheeler going out, everything that they have withstood and feel like you are rolling into the playoffs, that feels like it's special stuff to me.
Yeah. As you were talking, Ed, the first thing that came to my mind was to lose a player of Zach Wheeler's caliber and see I
think we lost you a little bit there, Booch, but again, what they have been able to withstand here in terms of their ability to overcome injuries and just be able to put things together has been beyond impressive. I'm going to try to get you back in here, Booch, for the final comment, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I think we may have lost it. Appreciate Chris Buchanani, the Deer Booch, filling in for Goon today. Listen, I think, baseball playoff action it's a lot like the NHL. It's just hard to project because the regular season, and results there don't really matter. And a lot of it just has to do with, all right, are you hot? Are you getting the right matchups against the opponent in the right spots? But I'm just telling you, if I was handicapping the thing right now, I would feel really good about the chances if you're a Phillies fan. The Brewers are interesting to me, and to me, it kind of feels like Milwaukee's playing with house money because I think they are an organization that is building for a long-term run here as a National League and World Series contender. But it feels like maybe that youth at some point will show up a little bit in not a good way. Now, the other side of it is you can say, wow, they don't even know what they're getting themselves into. They're just out there having fun and playing, and there's a lot to be said for that. So I think that's intriguing. Obviously, that is a really talented roster as well. So I don't know. It'll be fun, even though I won't have any rooting interest in the baseball playoffs. It will be fun to see how all of that plays out. We will talk much more about the whiteout game on Thursday's edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. Until Thursday, be good.
No one likes making trips to the gas station. Well, Lion Country Kia can help. If you're tired of going to the gas station all the time, Lion Country Kia can help with the 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid. Save now with 2.9% APR financing for up to 48 months. And get $500 Kia Finance bonus cash. There's 14 available that get 38 MPG combined. Say goodbye to all those pump visits. 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrids start at just $32,285. And be sure to check out the full Kia lineup too. And their selection of certified pre-owned Kias. Remember, every new Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Ease that pain at the pump with a 38 MPG combined 2025 Kia Sportage Hybrid from Lion Country Kia, 1334 Drivable Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College. Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. For details, see dealer or go to kia.com.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things. Great times, great food. Get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food. Get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXX, once again.
Your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America. 98.